Hello, I'm Scott from WarmlyYours, and today we're going to cover installing the Ember Radiant panel on your wall. To do that, you'll need some very simple tools, the installation template, and the Ember Radiant panel. What we're going to do is we're going to take this template, we're going to use the self-adhesive stickers on the back, put it on the location of the wall where we want the Ember to be, mark the location of the holes, put the screws and the wall anchors in, and then hang the unit on the wall. Now that we've got an idea where we want the product to be in the room, we can go ahead and get our template up on the wall. The cool thing about this template is it's the same size as the unit, so you can kind of get a feel of how big the unit will appear on your wall. The one thing you also want to notice is where the power connection box is. If you take a look down below, you'll see that the power connection box is going to be in the lower left-hand corner, and that's where the power cord will exit. Okay, now the way we have it set up on the wall is you can see that the green bar is obviously at the top. That means that we're going to be aiming for the green holes on the template to make our spots for our screws and wall anchors. If we were choosing to mount this horizontally, we would want to make sure that first of all we take a note as to the location of the power box. Do we want the power box to be in the upper left-hand corner, or do we want it to be in the lower right-hand corner? If we determine that we want it to be this way, with the yellow on top, that means we have to mark our locations for the mounting holes corresponding to the yellow spot located here on the template. Now, obviously, when you mount this on the wall, you want it to appear to be level. So one little trick I learned is that if you just pin one end up here in the left-hand corner, we can then use a level to either drop the right end down or to raise the right end up. So what we're going to do is take a look at where this is, and we're going to slowly move it down to the location where it's centered, and then I'm going to hold it in that place right there to keep it nice and level. All right, once we have the level in position, I'm going to use a piece of tape to hold it in place, and I'm then going to just make a quick mark. Using a normal pencil, I'm going to mark the location with just faintly here on the wall so I know where the template is resting. I'm going to mark this location also, and then that way I know where the level mark is. At that point, I can remove this piece of tape, pull the template back, and expose the double-sided tape on the back of the unit and put it right back up there. Now we can see the two remaining pieces on this side of double-sided tape. There's two more on the other side too. We're going to take the covers off these double-sided tapes and attach them to the wall. As I do that, I'm going to take my arm and get a nice tight fit along the wall as I adhere the tape to the wall. As you can see here, I have a stud finder. Ideally, what you'd like to do is you'd like to get one or two screws into a stud if you can to help hold it onto the wall. If you can't get this centered in the wall and have the screws go into a stud, we did include all 4 wall anchors that you can use to screw into. So if you can't find a stud, go ahead and use all 4 wall anchors and you should be fine. Now that we've determined that we're going to be using the green holes, what I like to do is to take one of the screws that comes in the kit and put it directly on the crosshairs going right through the middle of the green dot. Now that I've located the crosshairs of this green dot, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a small hammer to make the mark going through the paper into the wall of where my drill tip is going to be going. Now that I've used the screw and the hammer to mark the exact locations of where my drill holes are going to be, I can go ahead and remove the template at this time. Now that we've made our 4 spots on the wall, put our anchors in the wall, and put the screws in, at this point we want to make sure that our screws are sticking out of the wall or proud from the wall 15 millimeters or 19/32 of an inch. In the hardware kit that comes shipped with the Ember, you'll see that there are 4 felt pads with self-stick adhesive on the back. What we're going to do is we're going to peel this backing off and we're going to place it down onto the unit right where the crosshatch is on the mounting base. That will keep the unit from scratching the wall as it's being put on. Now when I'm getting ready to mount this, what I do is I try to get my hand in the same general area on the outer frame that the cut is going to be to get the screw into the hole. So it kind of gives me an idea how high I'm going to have to lift it and mount it onto the screws. All right, once you have the 4 screws set to be 15 millimeters sticking out of the wall, it's a good idea for you to grab a helper to help you get the Ember up onto those 4 screws and into the slots on the back of the Ember. Once you get it mounted on the wall, there is a 9-foot power cord that all you need to do is you need to take the plastic cover off of the power cord and then stick it into a nearby outlet. That way you can get the system up and running without any trouble. If you have any more questions about mounting your Ember radiant panel on the wall, feel free to check us out at www.warmlyyours.com. Thanks for watching.